Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to read Genesis 43 to 48, Proverbs 11, and Psalm 78. Let's get started. Now the famine was severe in the land, and one day eating the grain that they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go again, buy us a little food." The Jews said to him, "The men solemnly warn us, saying, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down." For the man said to us, "You shall not see my face, unless your brother is with you." Israel said, "Why did you treat me so badly as to tell them that you had another brother?" They replied, "The man questioned us carefully about ourselves and our kindred, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother?' What we told him was an answer to these questions. Could we in any way know that he would say, 'Bring your brother down'?" And Judah said to Israel his son, "Send the boy with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you and others our little ones. That will be a pledge of his safety. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back and set him before you, then let me bear the blame for it. If we had not delayed, we would now have returned twice." Then their father Israel said to them, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the choice fruits of the land in your bags, and carry a present down to the man, a little balm and a little honey, gum, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take double the money with you. Carry back with you the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take also your brother, and arise, go again to the man. May God Almighty grant you mercy before them, and may he send back your other brother and Benjamin. And as for me, if I am bereaved from my children, I am bereaved." So the men took the present, and they took double the money with them, and Benjamin. And then they arose and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Bring the men into the house, and slaughter an animal and make ready, for the men are to dine with me at noon." The men did as Joseph told them, and brought them into Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house. And they said, "It is because of the money which was placed in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, so that he may sell us and fall upon us, to make us servants and seize our donkeys." So they went up to the steward of Joseph's house, and spoke with him at the door of the house, and said, "O my lord, we came down the first time to buy food, and when we came to the lodging place, we opened our sacks, and there was each man's money in the mouth of his sack, and there were money in full weight. So we have brought it again with us, and we have brought out the money down with us to buy food. We do not know the God who put our money in our sacks." He replied, "Peace to you, do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has put treasure in your sacks for you. I received your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them. And when the man had brought the men into Joseph's house and given them water, and they had washed their feet, and when he had given their donkeys fodder, they prepared the present for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. When Joseph came home, he brought down into the house to him the present that they had with him, and bowed him to the ground. He inquired about their welfare and said, "Is your father well? Is he still alive?" They said, "Your servant, our father, is well. He's still alive." And they bowed their heads and prostrated themselves. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your youngest brother, of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son." Then Joseph hurried out, for his compassion grew warm for his brother, and he saw a place to weep. And he entered his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out. Then controlling himself, he said, "Serve the food." And they served him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at one another in amazement. Portions were taken to them from Joseph's table. Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs, and they drank and were merry with him. Then he commanded the steward of his house, "Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack, and put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, with his money for the grain." And he did as Joseph told him. And as soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away with their donkeys. They had gone only a short distance from the sea. Now Joseph said to his steward, follow after the men. When you overtake them, say to them, why do you repay evil for good? Is it not from this that my Lord drinks, and by this that he practiced divination? And you've done evil in doing this. When you overtook them, he spoke to them these words. They said, why does my Lord speak such words as these? Far be it from your servants to do such a thing. Behold, the money we found in the mouths of our sacks, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan. How then can we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? Whichever of your servants is found with it shall die, and me also will be my Lord's servant. He said, let it be as you say. He who found it, and he who founded it with it shall be my servant, and the rest of you shall be innocent. Then each man quickly lowered his sack to the ground, and each man opened his sack, and he searched, beginning with the eldest and beginning with the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and each man loaded his donkey, and they returned to the sea. Then Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's home. He was still there. They fell before him to the ground. Joseph said to them, what deed is that you have done? Do you not know that a man like me can indeed practice divination? Then Judah said, what shall we say to my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how can we clear ourselves? God has found out the guilt of your servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and also he also in whose hand the cup was found. And he said, far be it from me that I should do so. Then the man in whose hand the cup was found shall be my servant. But as for you, go up in peace to your father. Then Judah went up to him and said, O my Lord, please let your servant speak a word of prayer in my Lord's ears, and let not your anger burn against the servant, for you are like Pharaoh himself. And my Lord asked his servant, saying, have you a father or a brother? And he said to my Lord, we have a father, old man, and a young brother, the child of his old age. And his brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him. And he said to your servants, bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes on him. We said to my Lord, the boy cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. Then he said to your servants, unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you shall not see my face again. And we went back to your servant my father, and we told him the words of my Lord. And when our father said, go again, buy us a little food, we said, we cannot go down. If our youngest brother goes with us, then we will go down. For we cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Then your servant my father said to us, you know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One left me, and I said, surely he has been torn to pieces, and I have never seen him since. If you take this one also from me, and harm happens to him, you will bring down my grey hairs and evil to show. Therefore, as soon as I come to your servant my father, and the boy is not with us, then as his life is bound up by the boy's life, as soon as he sees that the boy is not with us, he will die. And the servants will bring down the grey hairs of your servant our father with sorrow to show. For your servant gave a pledge of safety to the boy, for the boy to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame for my father all my life. Now therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the boy as a servant to my Lord. Now let the boy go back with his brothers. Now, for how can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? I fear to see the evil that would find my father. And then Joseph could not control himself before all who stood by him. And he said, cried, make everyone go out from me. So no one stayed with him. And then Joseph made himself known to his brothers. And then he wept on, so that the Egyptians heard it, and the household of Pharaoh heard it. And then Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers could not answer, for they were dismayed at his presence. So Joseph said to his brothers, come near to me, please. And then they came near, and he said, I am your brother, Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with your son, because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land 2 years, and there are yet 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth. and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father and say to him, thus says your son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not tarry. You shall dwell in the land of Goshen. You shall be near me, you and your children and your children's children, and your flocks and herds and all that you have. They will provide for you, and for there you have 5 years of famine to come, so that you and your household and all that you have, you do not come to poverty. And now your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see. That is to my mouth that speaks to you. You must tell my father all my honor and you, of all that you have seen. Hurry and bring my father down here. And then he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept. And Benjamin wept upon his neck, and he kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. After that his brothers talked with him, and their report was heard in Pharaoh's house. And Joseph's brothers have come. They pleased Pharaoh and his servants. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, say to your brothers, do this. Load your beast and go back to the land of Canaan. And take your father and your households and come to me. And I'll give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you shall eat the fat of the land. And you, Joseph, are commanded to say, do this, take wagons from the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father, and come. Have no concern for your goods, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours. And the sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons, according to the command of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for the journey. To each and all of them he gave a change of clothes. But to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 changes of clothes. To his father he sent as follows: 10 donkeys loaded with the good things of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain, bread, and provision for his father on the journey. Then he sent his brothers away, and they departed. He said to them, do not quarrel on the way. And then they went up out of Egypt and came to the land of Canaan to their father Jacob. And they told him, Joseph is still alive, and he is ruler over all the land of Egypt. And his heart became numb, but he did not believe them. But when they told him all the words to carry him, the spirit of their father Jacob revived. And Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die. So Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, here I am. And then he said, I am the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you into a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again, and in Joseph's hand shall close your eyes. Then Jacob set out from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Joseph their father, Jacob their father, their little ones, and their wives, in the wagons that Pharaoh had sent to carry them. They also took their livestock and their goods, which they had gained in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his offspring with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, all his offspring he brought with him into Egypt. Now these are the names of the descendants of Israel who came into Egypt, Jacob and his sons. Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. The sons of Simeon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. The sons of Leah, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Judah, Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamel. The sons of Issachar, Tola, Puvah, Yob, and Shimron. And the sons of Zebulun, Sered, Elon, and Jahiel. And these are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padan Aram, together with the daughter Dinah. Altogether the sons and his daughters numbered 33. The sons of Gad, Ziphion, Hagi, Shuni, Esben, Eri, Arodi, and Arali. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beriah, and Sarah their sister. And the sons of Beriah, Heber and Melchiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter. And these she bore to Jacob, 16 persons. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. And to Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh, and Ephraim, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, the priest of On, bought him. And the sons of Benjamin, Bela, Betcher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ahi, Rosh, Muppim, Huppim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel, who were born to Jacob, 14 persons in all. The son of Dan, Hushim, the sons of Naphtali, Jahiel, Guni, Jezer, and Shalom. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to Rachel his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 7 persons in all. All the persons belonging to Jacob who came into Egypt, who were his own descendants, not including Jacob's sons' wives, were 66 persons in all. And the sons of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were 2. All the persons of the house of Jacob who came into Egypt were 70. And he had sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to show the way before him in Goshen. And they came into the land of Goshen. Then Joseph prepared a chariot and went up to meet Israel his father in Goshen. He presented himself to him and fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. Israel said to Joseph, "Now let me die, since I have seen your face and know that you are still alive." Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, "Now go up and tell Pharaoh and say to him, my brothers and my father's household, where the land of Canaan have come to me, and the men are their shepherds, for they have been keepers of livestock, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have." Then Pharaoh called you and said, "What is your occupation?" You shall say, "Your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth even until now, with me and our fathers. I know that you may dwell in the land of Goshen, but every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians." So Joseph went in and told Pharaoh, "My father and my brothers, with their flocks and herds and all that they possess, have come from the land of Canaan. They are now in the land of Goshen." And from among his brothers he took 5 men and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, "What is your occupation?" And they said to Pharaoh, "Your servants are shepherds, as our fathers were." And they said to Pharaoh, "You have come to sojourn in the land, for there is no pasture for your servants' flocks, for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. And now please let your servants dwell in the land of Goshen." And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. Sell your father and your brothers in the best of the land. Let them settle in the land of Goshen, and if you know any able men among them, put them in charge of my livestock." And then Joseph brought in Jacob his father and stood him before Pharaoh. And then Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Jacob, "How many are the days of the years of your life?" And Jacob said to Pharaoh, "The days of the years of my sojourning are 130 years. Fear and evil have been the days of the years of my life, and they have not attained to the days of the years of my life of my fathers in the days of their sojourning." And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. Then Joseph settled his father and his brothers and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, and in the best of the land, in the land of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph provided his father, his brothers, and all his father's household with food, according to the number of their dependents. Now there was no food in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, in exchange for the grain that was bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money was all spent in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? For our money is gone." And Joseph answered, "Give your livestock, and I will give you food in exchange for your livestock, if your money is gone." So they brought their livestock to Joseph. And Joseph gave them food in exchange for the horses, the flocks, the herds, and the donkeys. He supplied them with food in exchange for all their livestock that year. And when that year was ended, they came to him the following year and said to him, "You will not hide from the Lord that all our money is spent. And as for our livestock, O my lords, there is nothing left in the sight of my Lord but our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us in our land for food, and we with our hand will be servants to Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, and that the land may not be desolate." So Joseph brought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, and all the Egyptians sold their fields, because the famine was severe on them. And then became Pharaoh's, As for the people, he made servants from one end of Egypt to the other. Then the land of the priests he did not buy. For the priests had a fixed allowance from Pharaoh and lived on the allowance that Pharaoh gave them. Therefore they did not sell their land. And Joseph said to the people, Behold, I have this day brought you and your land of Pharaoh. Now here is seed for you, and you shall serve the land. And at harvest you shall give a fifth to Pharaoh, and 4/5 shall be your own. The seed for the field and food is food for yourselves and for your households, and is food for your little ones. And they said, You have saved our lives. May it please my Lord, and we will be servants to Pharaoh. So Joseph made a statute concerning the land of Egypt. And it stands to this day that Pharaoh should have the fifth. The land of the priests alone did not become Pharaoh's. Thus Israel settled in the land of Egypt and the land of Goshen, and they gained possessions in it. And were fruitful and multiplied greatly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. And so the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 47 years. And when the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph and said to him, If now I have found favor in your sight, put your hand under my thigh and promise to deal kindly and truly with me. Do not bury me in Egypt, but let me live with my fathers. Carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burying place. But he answered, And I will do as you say. And he said, Swear to me. And he swore to him. Then Israel bowed himself upon the head of his bed. And after this Joseph was told, Behold, your father is ill. So he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and they were told to Jacob, Your son Joseph has come to you. Then Israel summoned his strength and sat up in bed. And Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at last in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said, Behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make of you a company of peoples, and will give this land to your offspring after you for an everlasting possession. And now your 2 sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt before Simeon, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. Ephraim and Manasseh shall be mine, as Reuben and Simeon are. And the children that you fathered after them shall be yours. You shall be called by the name of their brothers and their inheritance. As for me, when I came from Padan to my sorrow, Rachel died in the land of Canaan on the way. And there was still some distance to go to Ephrath, and they buried her there on the way to Ephrath. And then Israel saw Joseph's sons, and he said, Who are these? And Joseph said to his father, They are my sons, whom God has given me here. And he said, Bring them to me, please, that I may bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim with age, so that he could not see. So Joseph brought them near him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I never expected to see your face, and behold, God has let me see your offspring also. Then Joseph removed them from his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid on the head of Ephraim, who was the younger, and his left hand on the head of Manasseh, crossing his hand, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, The God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the boys, and in them let my name be carried, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into multitude in the midst of the earth. When Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he took his father's hand to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, Not this way, my father, since this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. And his father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. Nevertheless, his younger brother shall be greater than he. His offspring shall become a multitude of nations. And he blessed him that day, saying, While you, Israel, will pronounce blessing, saying, God will make you as Ephraim and Manasseh. As he put Ephraim before Manasseh, and Israel said to Joseph, Behold, I am about to die, but God be with you and will bring you again to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you relatives and to my brothers one mountain slope that I took from the hand of the Amorites with my sword and with my bow. Proverbs 11. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride comes, then comes disgrace, and with humble is wisdom. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them. Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. The righteousness of the blameless keeps his way straight, but the wicked falls by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright delivers them. The treacherous are taken captive by their lust. When the wicked die, his hope will perish, and the expectation of wealth perishes too. The righteous is delivered from trouble, and the wicked walks to it into its stead. With his mouth the godless man would destroy his name, but by knowledge the righteous are delivered. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices, and when the wicked perish, there are shouts of gladness. And the blessing of the upright city is exalted, but by the mouth of the wicked is overthrown. Whoever belittles his neighbor lacks sense, but a man of understanding remains silent. Whoever goes about slandering reveals secrets, but he who is trustworthy in spirit keeps a thing covered. When there is no guidance, the people falls, but in the abundance of counselors there is safety. Whoever puts up security for a stranger will surely suffer harm, but he who has striking hands and pledges secure. The gracious woman gets honor, and violent man gets riches. The man who is kind benefits himself, but a poor man pats himself. The wicked earn deceptive wages. The one who sows righteousness gets sure reward. Whoever is steadfast in righteousness will live, but he who pursues evil will die. Those with crooked heart are an abomination to the Lord, but those of blameless ways are his delight. Be sure, an evil person will not go unpunished, but the offspring of the righteous will be delivered. Like the gold ring in the pig's snout is a beautiful one without discretion. The desire of the righteous ends only in good, the expectation of the wicked in wrath. One gives freely, yet goes over richer, and another withholds what he should give, and only suffers one. Whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and the one who wars will himself be warned. The people who curse him who holds back grace, for their blessing is on the head of him who sells it. Whoever diligently seeks good seeks favor, but evil comes to him who searches for it. Whoever trusts in his riches will fall, and the righteous will flourish like a green leaf. Whoever troubles his own household will inherit the wind, and the fool will be servant to the wise of heart. The fruit of the righteous is true life, and whoever captures souls is wise. If the righteous is repaid on earth, how much more the wicked and the sinner? Psalm 78. I give ear, O my people, to my teaching. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings from the Lord, things that we have heard and known, that our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, and tell to the coming generation the glorious deeds of the Lord and his might, and the wonders that he has done. He established a testimony in Jacob, and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers to teach their children, that the next generation might know them. The children yet unborn and arise, and tell them to their children, so that they should set their hope in God, and not forget the works of God, that keep his commandments, that they should not be like their fathers, the stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation whose heart was not steadfast, whose spirit was not faithful to God. Their frame minds armed with the bow turned back on the day of battle. They did not keep God's covenant, but refused to walk according to his law. And they forgot his works and the wonders that he had shown them. In the sight of their fathers he performed wonders in the land of Egypt, in the fields of Zoan. He divided the sea and let them pass through, and made the waters stand like a heap. In the daytime he led them with a cloud, and all the night with a fiery light. He split the rocks in the wilderness, and gave them drink abundantly as from the deep. He made streams come out of the rock, and caused waters to flow down like rivers. May they sin more, still more against him, rebelling against the Most High in the desert. They tested God in their heart, and they demanding the food they craved. And they spoke against God, saying, Can God spread a table in the wilderness? He struck the rocks so that the water gushed down, and his streams overflowed. And he also gave bread, and will provide beef for his people. Therefore, when the Lord heard, he was full of wrath. The fire was kindled against Jacob. His anger rose against Israel, because they did not believe in God, and did not trust his saving power. Here he commanded the skies above, and opened the doors of heaven. He rained down on them manna to eat, and gave them the grain of heaven, manna of bread of the angels. He sent them the food in abundance. He caused the east wind to blow in the heavens, and by his power he let out the south wind. And he rained meat on them like dust, winged birds like the sand of the seas, and he let them fall in the midst of their king. No one ran their door, and they ate and were well filled, for he gave them what they craved. Therefore he had satisfied their craving, While the food was still in their mouth, the anger of God rose against them, and he killed the strongest of them, and laid low the young men of Israel. In spite of all this, they still sinned. Besides wonders, they did not believe. So he made their days vanish like a breath, and their years in terror. When he killed them, they sought him. They repented and sought God earnestly. They remembered that God was their rock, the Most High God was their Redeemer, that they flattered him with their mouths. They lied to him with their tongues. Their heart was not steadfast toward him. They were not faithful to his covenant. Yet he, being compassionate, atoned for their iniquity, and did not destroy them. He restrained his anger often, and did not stir up all his wrath. He remembered that they were but flesh, and when their pastors said, "Come not again." Now often they rebelled against him in the wilderness, and grieved him in the desert. And he tested God again and again, and provoked the Holy One of Israel. They did not remember his power, nor the day when he redeemed them from the fire, when he performed his signs in Egypt and his marvels in the fields of Yahweh. He turned their rivers to blood, so that they cannot drink of their streams. He sent among them swarms of flies, which devoured them, and frogs, which destroyed them. He gave their crops to the destroying locust, and the fruit of their labor to the locust. He destroys their vines with hail, and their sycamores with frost. He gave over their cattle to the hail, and their flocks to thunderbolts. He let loose on them his burning anger, wrath, indignation, and distress, and a company of destroying angels. He made a path for his anger, he did not spare them from death, and gave their lives over to the plague. He struck down every firstborn in Egypt, the firstfruits of their strength in the tents of Ham. Then he led out his people like sheep, and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. He led them in safety, so that they were not afraid. Let the sea overwhelm their enemies, and he brought them to his holy land, to the mountain which his right hand had won. He drove our nations before them. He apportioned them for a possession, and settled the tribes of Israel in their tents. Yet they tested and rebelled against the Most High God, and did not keep his testimonies, but turned away and acted treacherously like their fathers. They twisted like a deceitful bow, for they provoked him to anger with their high places. They moved him to jealousy with their idols. When God heard, he was full of wrath, and he utterly rejected Israel. He forsook his dwelling at Shiloh, the town where he dwelt among mankind, and delivered his power to captivity. He gave glory to the hand of the foe. He gave his people over to the sword, and vented his wrath on his heritage. Fire devoured their young men, and their young women had no marriage song. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows made no lamentation. And the Lord awoke us from sleep, like a strong man shouting because of wine. And he put his adversaries to wrath, and he put them to everlasting shame. He rejected the tent of Jason. He did not choose the tribe of Ephraim, and he chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loves. He built a sanctuary like the high heavens, like the earth, which he has founded forever. He cherished David his servant, and took him from the sheepfold. From following the nursing ewes, he brought him to shepherd Jacob's sheep. Israel his inheritance. With upright heart he shepherded them, and guided them with his skillful hand. Now the stand, has now driven God's prayer. Lead thy head, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.